The Supreme Court has pulled up Patanjali Ayurved founder Baba Ramdev, dismissing an apology affidavit submitted in response to a contempt notice issued to the company. The top court has been hearing a lawsuit filed by the Indian Medical Association, which had urged action against Patanjali for advertisements that promoted the Ayush treatment system while undermining modern evidence-based medicine. Earlier in a judgment in November 2023, the Supreme Court had criticized Patanjali Ayurved for circulating misleading claims and advertisements against modern medicine. The apex court has cautioned that a fine of 1 crore rupees would be imposed if such promotional activities persisted. However, a day after the court's order, Patanjali had issued a media statement denying any misleading claims about its products. Following this, in February this year, the top court had issued a contempt notice to Baba Ramdev and Acharya Balkrishna for persisting in distributing misleading health cure advertisements. They barred Patanjali from promoting products with unsubstantiated claims of curing diseases like heart conditions and asthma. The court then directed Baba Ramdev and Acharya Balkrishna to personally appear before it and respond to contempt proceedings initiated against them. Now, the court has refused to accept Patanjali's apology in the case and has warned Baba Ramdev of perjury proceedings. The court now has deferred the matter to 10th April, instructing both Baba Ramdev and Acharya Balkrishna to be present at the next hearing. Joining us to discuss this story further is Dr. R.N. Tandon, former Secretary General IMA. We also have Padma Shri Dr. Sanjeev Bagai, Chairman Nephron Clinic, joining us live. Sriram Khanna, Managing Editor, Consumer Voice, is live with us. We also have Vineet Jindal, lawyer, Supreme Court, joining us live as well. Let me begin with you first, Dr. Tandon, on what you make of the hearing so far and these very stringent observations made by the Supreme Court in this case.
Oh, thank you there. I mean, it's a very important case which Supreme Court has heard for the last 2 years, we can say, because the writ petition was filed in 22, and since then there are hearings, and Supreme Court is referring the habits of Patanjali and what they were doing, and even they have criticized the act which they mentioned in during COVID in second wave, when the country was facing a dire situation and everybody is trying to save the patients, and the modern medicine was at the forefront. Even when we talk about COVID and saving the people and how the services were being provided by the modern medicine, we lost more than 2,000 doctors in that era. And that was the time when it was criticized that the modern medicine is unnecessarily using vaccines, oxygens in high-end treatment and drugs and everything to save patients from COVID. And that was the time when the new drug, magic drug, came from them. And that they promoted that it is the only drug which can protect everybody. While there are rules and regulation laws, the Drug and Magic Act, which clearly mention that nobody can claim for any magic treatment or magic relief after a medicine without any proof or something like that. But that was not even cared by anybody, any from the manufacturers or even from the spokesperson of them. And they have been criticizing everything what the modern medicine were doing. But I'm very happy that the Supreme Court has taken note of all these things, and they have mentioned that the modern medicine is the treatment of choice at the moment. We are not criticizing or we are not comparing any pathies. We are for each and every pathy, but there has to be some rules and regulation for them. We are not criticizing Ayurveda or homeopathy or Ayush. We always say they have got their role. Where they have got their role, they should be involved. But when there is an emergency, then there is role of modern medicine. And the best part is the vaccine is only given in the modern medicine, and every other pathy is criticizing how the vaccines are being used for every disease. Well, everybody knows that the vaccines have been giving results for last so many decades and even century. If you talk about tuberculosis, if you talk about even the polio, and when you talk about even the COVID, every time we have seen the vaccine has been helping the people and in eradicating the disease. The tuberculosis, the tetanus, and even the polio has been eradicated almost from India. And we are using vaccines. So you cannot criticize vaccines or the people who are advising vaccine. So modern medicine is doing its job. Everything is coming, as when been noted by the Supreme Court, everything is coming in the market only after the massive research and massive trials at various levels. And we are not promoting, we are not saying that any drug can give you 100% relief. Anybody who gives this kind of assurance is probably not aware about the effect of medicine, not about aware about the medicine even. Even in the modern medicine, we can't say that this medicine is 100% safe. We know there is a complication, there is a side effect with each and everything. So we cannot claim that way. And that has been actually reported by Supreme Court. So we feel honored that Supreme Court has given importance to the modern medicine. They are saying that you have to respect the people who are giving you the treatment and who are protecting the life and who are sacrificing their life, especially during the COVID. And even the government was informed when we were fighting and promoting vaccine, convincing people to take the vaccine for COVID. And there was an advertisement from other side that the vaccines are of no use. You take all these capsules, you'll be free from COVID. And that was the time when we were really under stress that what to do, how to convince people that the vaccine is the only answer. Don't believe in such false claims that this is going to treat. If you want to take the medicine, you take the medicine, but please go for the vaccine. That was what we were doing at that time. We were convincing the public. And probably that was the time when the public could listen to us, and they came forward, and the massive vaccination program, which was adopted in India, was successful, and that we could claim that in the world is such a large population was vaccinated, and we could prevent unnecessary mortalities which would have taken place without vaccination and without proper care of people at that time. Because at that time, neither we were prepared, neither the government was prepared, but gradually things came into existence, and we tried to manage each and every case which came to the medical profession at the cost of our own life. So we feel very happy that such thing has been noted by the Supreme Court, and everybody should realize, anyone who is not only the Ayush or the modern medicine, everybody, anybody who claims that there is 100% cure, or we can do some remedy, some magic, and you'll be cured of your chronic diseases, whether it is epilepsy, or whether it is asthma, or whether it is a cancer, or it is a heart disease. People are claiming we can cure your heart disease, we can cure your diabetes with this magical remedy. And everybody has to understand there is no such medicine which can give you 100% guarantee and cure. That is what is requested from everybody. Even the public has to realize that 100% cure cannot be promised by any doctor, any best doctor of the world, that we can give you 100% cure of any medicine. Because we know everything has got its own complication and side effects. And whether it is 1 in 10 lakhs or 1 in 1 crore, anybody who suffers with that complication, for them it is 100%. So how can we claim that everything is safe and 100% safe, and we can give you the 100% result? So we are very happy with the Supreme Court direction.
Absolutely.
Sure,
Dr. Bagai, how important is the Supreme Court action in this particular case in in ensuring that such misleading advertisements A, do not get away, and B, do not mislead the public, who often get ill-informed thanks to this. Also, it happened during a time like COVID, when there was a calamity staring us in the face, as Dr. Tandon was just pointing out. What do you make of how this hearing is proceeding so far in the court?
Good evening, everyone. And I think this is an extremely important topic. Going straight into it, I think Patanjali as a company have been serial offenders. If you go through the past 4 or 5 years, they made claims which are completely fraudulent, deceptive. It's a blatant misinformation which willfully leads people into believing there is some sort of magical or one-time cure. This is completely false. It is untrue. There is a misrepresentation on their part with regards to nature, character, quality, results, and unverified claims. Coming to what they have actually claimed, the list is so long that it will take more than half an hour just reading out. But there is no one-time cure for diabetes or hypertension or coronary artery disease, chronic kidney disease, hair loss, infertility, even for COVID, obesity. This company has even proclaimed claims for malaria and for dengue during the surge about 15 or 20 years back in northern India. Cancers, arthritis, seizures, that's wrong. What really happens is when patients get to hear this, a lot of them are not that well educated. They stop the routine medication. Your window period of safety after you stop your routine medication is very, very small. You can slip from acute kidney injury to chronic kidney disease and then dialysis and transplants and indeed death if the transplant is not available in appropriate centers. So this kind of misleading information can precipitate death. Apart from that, I don't think we as a line, we follow what we call as allopathy, what we call as modern medicine. We respect all other sciences, but I don't think any doctor in our line of fraternity has openly criticized any other field of medicine. They have their role, they have their space, they do the job, we do ours. The worst was during COVID, and the previous speaker just mentioned it. But just to take off from there, let me put it on record that more than hundreds and thousands and millions of lives have been saved because of COVID vaccines. Annually, more than 26 million lives, not because of COVID vaccine, but routine vaccinations is saved only in the developing nations. More than 4 million under 5 years of lives are saved because of measles vaccines worldwide every year. 19 million because of extended measles vaccination, 14 million because of hepatitis B. So there is no doubt that these things work. The vaccines work. Now, the important point over here is they should not proclaim unverified claims. They should not proclaim magical cure. This is a very, very wrong signal to a general public at large, especially when the patients are in distress. The last important point is I think the court has done a huge, huge favor, not only to the medical science, across all fields, because the message is say what is true, follow evidence-based medicine. You have to keep the patient's interest uppermost in your mind. Over to you.
Shriram Khanna, come in here. For consumers, how important is this stand that the Supreme Court is hearing? As someone who, of course, represents and talks about the consumers, what is your viewpoint on the hearing?
Yeah, I broadly agree with the previous two speakers. If any commercial enterprise manufacturing a medicine or a therapeutical product is making a claim in advertisements which are targeted to their citizens, they have to be truthful. And the only standard of truth is you make a claim if you can substantiate scientifically what you're saying is true, which means it has to be backed by scientific evidence. And there are protocols of trials of drugs and human trials, and the Drugs and Cosmetics Act lays down all these conditions. And you also have now the Department of Ayush for traditional medicines. One cannot say that just because in a particular ancient Shastra, this is written, that this thing will remove diabetes. You can't repeat that today and say it will, this thing, my Ayurvedic booty will remove the diabetes. You can say it only if you have, in the modern time, actually run the tests and got evidence and approval of your medicine from the competent authorities. How many chemist shops are there? You tell me, if any chemist in India is able to sell any product not licensed by the Drugs and Drug Controller of India under the Drugs and Cosmetics Act. Every drug has to be licensed. Their factories are licensed. Their protocols are licensed. So, why should anybody be given a freedom from these protocols just because you happen to be close to the ruling party? The real problem is that these people who we are talking about have been close to the ruling party, and the Ministry of Health, for that political reason, seems to overlook these violations. And no drug controller, no drug inspector is willing to take action because he knows that today I take action, tomorrow they complain to my minister, and there goes I am transferred to Arunachal or to Andamans. This is the situation as it seems to be. And if the Supreme Court can pass a proper order and give a judgment that will become a ratio for all the courts of the country in matters of misleading ads without substantiating scientifically the claims. It will be useful. There is no fun will be there of imposing a fine and leaving somebody unless there is a proper judgment that becomes a ratio descendi. Under Article 141 of the Constitution, the Supreme Court's judgment has to be followed by all the courts in the country, all the legal authorities. So I see this hearing as laying down a precedent. And I'll be very sorry if it doesn't lay down a precedent and it makes some noise and let this matter go. Let there be a judgment. And as I see, they have not accepted the apology. That's what I've heard today. And there's a contempt notice. And I'm sure any contempt notice is going to be followed by a judgment which will lay down the law. I hope that it does so. Thank you.
All right, let me take that quickly across to Vinny Jindal as well. Vinny Jindal, obviously it's quite interesting how the Supreme Court has not accepted the apology just yet, how, the matter is proceeded, why perjury should not be, moved against the heads of Patanjali is a question that the Supreme Court judges have posed. Interestingly, they've also cracked down on the centre, asking what action they took earlier in this particular matter. And interestingly, we do believe that the heads of Patanjali will perhaps have to be present in the court on the 10th of April when the next hearing happens.
Look, Uday, today we have seen what happened in court, but the important point is it is very significant issue in respect of misleading advertisements. So in this matter today, when Ramdev and the other Balkrishna have been asking for apology verbally, the Supreme Court has specifically declined it. Even one of the affidavit has been filed in respect of asking apology, but that affidavit has not been proper. That's why the Supreme Court has directed today, you have to file a proper affidavit. You cannot say that advertisement, even after giving a specific undertaking to the Supreme Court, that has been still going on. So how it can be possible a department, your own department has specifically running the same advertisement, which is misleading. So in that aspect, the Supreme Court has come very heavily on Ramdev and Balkrishna and Patanjali, basically, and asking for a proper affidavit. So we have to see, because this is not a matter of saying something, or it is about the life of people. It is about the citizen of this country who has been taking this medicine upon relying some misleading advertisements. It is not only about Patanjali. It is about every medical institution or medical factory who has been making this medicine, this kind of medicine. So it is not only about Ayurveda. It is also about allopathy. It is also about any other medical field. So this is very significant, and I think whatever has been come out of this whole issue, it will create a precedent that nobody is allowed to float any misrepresenting of advertisement in respect of, and they are not allowed to play with the life of the people.
Yes. Do you believe, from the tone and tenor so far adopted by the judges, that the Supreme Court wants to make a model case of this, Vineet?
Yes, definitely. The way the judges has specifically asking for a specific thing, and it is not only about apology now, it is about a judgment, because this is a writ petition, so there would be some judgment. And whatever the judgment has been come out, it is to create a mandate for every institution. Nobody is allowed to any kind of misleading advertisement in respect of any medicine. So I think in the future we will say, whenever this judgment will come, I think it will be a precedent, and this practice should stop.
What kind of action would you expect in this particular matter, Dr. Tandon?
Is that what we wanted. We are only working for the safety of patients and public at large. And our aim was since 22 that we should protect public from such kind of a misleading act. What happens? See, 90% of people are afraid of surgery. If you say that we can do this thing without surgery with this medicine, as the claims have been coming from Patanjali, so the people are getting into problems. They land up in a serious nature of illnesses. So we want a perfect action against such misleading advertisement, not only from Patanjali, from anyone. From anyone. If we talk about the modern medicine, we aren't supposed to even talk about anything in media, what we have done and how we have achieved the result, and we give 100% cure or 100% thing. We can't do it because we are, prohibited by our own rules from MCI and National Medical Commission. But apart from us, everybody is claiming everything, anything they can give, and they can say that this is 100% cure and you can take it. There is no need of surgery. So these things are creating problems. We want Supreme Court should come a clear indication with a clear judgment which helps to the public, and they should not be misguided by such advertisement. And anybody who is giving such kind of advertisement and claiming false things should be punished in such a way that public realizes and public remember that what has happened to them for such kind of a misleading acts. So this is important to save the life of public and to save them from going into a serious nature of problem, as has been mentioned. If your chronic kidney failure patient is given a medicine and asked that you will be cured, and instead of dialysis he is given tablet, so ultimately he lands into the complete failure and where he needs only a replacement. That becomes a very difficult. It's not possible. The cases are very few. You don't get so much of donors. So things which can be managed without a major issue should be managed in initial stages, rather than they are forced to take something which not gives any cure except a false assurance and leading into the serious nature of illness. So the Supreme Court judgment has to be very clear, and I'm sure the way Supreme Court is going, the judgment will be so clear that every person from each and every field, those who are practicing medicine in any field, from modern medicine, Ayush or anyone, they will be very cautious about such kind of advertisement or such kinds of a false claim. Maybe anyone. So I'm sure this judgment will change the way people are talking, the way people are advertising for everyone. So it will be an eye-opener for each and everyone, and general public will definitely be benefited from such a strict action and such a strict rules. And everybody will accept what Supreme Court says and what judgment Supreme Court gives, which is going to be definitely a path-breaking judgment in the field of medicine. Completely, from modern medicine, Ayush and everyone, and I'm sure each and every agency will take care of such false claims and false advertisement, and they will beware of all these things and protect themselves and protect the public, because I really believe that any person who gives assurance that you can be treated without operation and you'll be cured, surgery will be missed by the person. He'll go for that treatment, whether he may land up in a serious nature of illness. Because we have seen so many times that people who can be operated initially and can be cured without any issues, they go for a treatment which is not surgical, and they take treatment and they lands up in a major problem where it becomes difficult to save their life. We see many a times in surgical wards, such things happen. So we want that public should be aware about all these things, and Supreme Court judgment should be a path-breaking judgment for such people who are creating problem for the public and claiming false claims and unnecessarily misguiding very simple and unknowledgeable public. Education does not mean that you are knowledgeable, unknowledgeable. Everybody is unknowledgeable about the medicine and about the diseases. They do not know what is in the box for them if they do not go for a proper treatment. Sometimes happens with even modern medicine. We miss the diagnosis and we land up in trouble. And so I believe that this judgment will be a very, very wonderful judgment from Supreme Court, which will be helpful in near future from such kind of a people who are misguiding and misclaiming and unnecessarily creating the magical drugs and magical acts, because this is banned. This already is a rule.
Do you believe, Dr. Bagai, that this is a competition between allopathy and Ayurveda, or is it simply about, misinformation and misleading advertisements?
allopathy have always said that there is no competition between one medical science or another medical science. All medical sciences have a specific value. But the important thing is that this should be implemented across the board. I wish and pray that this judgment of the honorable courts becomes a landmark judgment, be it for a weight loss tablet or be it for a fairness cream, be it for fake hair creams, or indeed for asthma and bronchitis and convulsions and hypertension and diabetes, or indeed infectious diseases or vector-borne diseases like dengue. So I think across the board, information which is given to the public should be accurate. But more importantly, I think doctors are not allowed to advertise. I think that should be kept in mind. That's another legal aspect altogether. But the information which should be given to the public should be accurate. It should be based on scientific research. It should be based on evidence-based medicine. First and foremost is never do any harm. If you can't do good, don't cause any harm to the patient. That's the bottom line of practicing medicine. Over to you.
Okay, let me leave the last word then to you, Mr. Khanna. Closing comment.
Of pride for all Indians to see the Supreme Court of India intervening in matters which affect public interest. This is a matter that affects public interest. And when the Supreme Court judges are going to give their opinion and judgments without fear or favor, irrespective of how influential the person before them is, irrespective of wealth or political clout, I think they are doing a great service for the fundamental rights of the citizens, that they are treating everybody equally, and it's this institution is doing the country proud. So I do hope that we will soon get a judgment that we can rely upon, so that other states and in the different parts of the country, the drug controllers and the other institutions who are implementing the laws, their hands are strengthened using this judgment. Thank you.
Let's leave it at that. My thanks to all of our guests for joining us on this discussion.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.